Drivers and Danica, start your engines!
Pull those belts down tight one more time. Warm up those tires. Hit your marks and let's go racing, boys and girls. NASCAR, Indycar, Formula One, Formula E, NHRA, and local dirt track and drag strip racing talk. This is the fastest hour in radio.
Where'd you go? Where's your home? How'd you end up all alone? Can you hear me now? Hear me.
Here's your host, Steve West and Dustin Harmer, with producer John Myers.
Oh, yeah, the gang's all here, and we have returned again for another weekend.
Yay, it's another Saturday.
That's right. I'm Steve West. That's Dustin Harmer.
up?
John Myers is right over there.
Good morning, guys.
And would you please introduce the man at the end of the table, our guest for the next 90 minutes?
Yes, he's finally gotten a chance to come up and join us. Matt Nicholson, driver of the number 10 MRL Motorsports limited, and tonight, of course, the super late model dirt car. Welcome into the show, man.
Thanks for you guys having me over. I'm looking forward to this.
It's going to be. We should be having a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where do you run? Things like that.
Hometown is Childersburg, Alabama.
Okay.
I currently live in Oxford. We run all over the state of Alabama. Home base is Talladega Short Track.
Okay.
We have run at Shelby County Speedway, Flomaton Speedway, and they currently don't exist anymore and not in operation. Childersburg Speedway, Central Alabama Motor Speedway, Moulton Speedway. But in the general gist of it, I have one more track to run in the state of Alabama, and I have competed on every single track in the state.
Which one?
That is Penton Raceway.
Penton. I'm hearing that name a lot.
We're hearing that name a whole lot.
Penton Raceway.
We're going to have to go down there as well at some point in time. So maybe what we do, find out when he's going to go run Penton, and that'll be the night we go.
Yeah, we'll have to make that happen.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. We got plenty to get to here. Matt in studio again, as we said, for the entire 90 minutes. So anything that you hear that you feel like you want to comment on, by all means, jump in.
He did his homework this week.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was informing me. He was doing his homework this week.
All right.
Before we take
John's the same way, by the way.
Before we take the green flag, I just want to throw a couple of shout-outs.
Man, we're already under caution.
Yeah. Just real
Thank you,
quick.
Joey Logano.
You're
Well, actually,
welcome.
what he said was is before we drop the green flag, so we're still under that pre-race
Yeah.
warm-up lap.
We're like 2 laps.
2 laps away.
Rain is in turn 4.
I found out this week that my attorney is a listener of the show. I just want to send him a
We
shout
have a
out.
lawyer who's a fan.
Yes.
That may come in handy.
Extremely handy. As much as we bash on drivers.
So, Mr. Kirby Ferris, thanks for listening.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
My son-in-law Brian had a birthday yesterday. Also, I want to wish
Happy
him
birthday.
a happy belated birthday.
Oh, yeah. You know, I almost forgot somebody. I'd have been in trouble here in a couple weeks. Give a shout-out to my sister, Brittany.
Oh, yeah.
On her birthday as well. And my cousin, Mike Farrell, who's a listener of the show. And coming to Talladega, finally,
There you go.
in the fall. So happy birthday to him as well.
Any birthdays?
Not this past week, but I would be remiss if I didn't say my wife's 30th birthday is next week.
There you go.
She is...
Oh, you be in the doghouse
Yeah,
quick.
you mean really good.
I said the wrong number, sorry.
You mean her second 29th birthday,
Her
right?
second 29th birthday, yeah. You're right, yeah.
All right.
Oops.
Is all the housekeeping done?
I think so.
We raving and good?
Let's take the green and
think
roll
we're
on.
good.
Green? All right,
Yeah.
here we go. Let's talk about last Saturday afternoon. First things first, as things got underway at Kentucky Speedway, went into the night when all was said and done. Dustin's pick in last week's After the Show was the one who was hoisting the trophy. And the race didn't even end in overtime or because of a late race caution.
I know, it's weird.
On the other hand, it was actually a long green flag run where the several drivers were able to, actually, a number of them decided to gamble to see if they could make it all the way to the end. Brad Keselowski radios his crew chief, Paul Wolfe, with 2 laps to go, saying that his number 2 Ford Fusion is out of gas. And then for whatever reason, he reached over there and hit that toggle switch, the starter, and it fired back up. So for the next couple of laps, he just feathered the throttle for the final couple of laps, and it was just enough to beat Carl Edwards.
He looked like he was Ricky Bobby out there when he returned to the track in Talladega Nights, where he was doing like 26
25
miles an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he looked like. I just seriously saw that going so bad, and Carl Edwards is coming up to the end. But
And this is the second time we have seen something like this year. We talked about this during the Indianapolis 500. Alexander Rossi figures, you know what, I'm a rookie. Nobody expects me to win anyway.
Right.
I might as well go ahead and roll the dice and see if we
Yeah,
can
why
make it
not?
all the way to the
You
end.
know?
And while everybody out there who's got gas is averaging 220 plus miles an hour, he's averaging on his final lap 177.
I don't understand how he made that work.
And as soon as he got across the start-finish line, boom, out of gas.
Out of gas.
I still can't figure that out either.
Yeah, Brad Keselowski pretty much the same way. He made it back to the start-finish line, or to victory lane even, but not by much.
Yeah, not by much at all. It was I don't understand how he did that because he was out.
Yeah.
I mean, and it wasn't like he was, flipping it back and forth, trying to get a
No,
little
he
bit of
wasn't.
fuel over there. He just flipped the switch again and all of a
Boom,
sudden
there it
fired
is.
back up. It must be that Penske, fuel tank.
You may
No,
be onto
just
something there.
saying.
But I will say this in regards to Carl Edwards. He is a bigger man than I am. I would have made every attempt I could have made to
yeah.
drive right by Brad the last lap.
Okay, question. Drive by. Drive through?
Even in that effect,
Well, the philosophy I have driving, pass them clean first.
Okay.
But in the same turn, if you have to put the bumper to them and move them just a little bit, do what you got to do to win.
Carl Edwards did. You want to talk about ultimately clean. He probably really could have done exactly that. He
Yeah.
could have used that front bumper, tried to get Brad loose, move him up, do whatever it took to get that win, and he didn't.
well, and that was the difference we saw at this past weekend at Kentucky with the new track surface. We saw it in the truck race. We saw it in the Xfinity race.
nationwide race.
Look, there's my first fine. And then we saw it in this one, and the fact of the way that the aero kit is on these cars now, and they were really talking about it during the race. You could really get up to almost to the bumper, but then that air pocket just pushed you back. So he was racing him clean, but he could have easily just kind of gotten that nose down in there. So kudos to him for not being the story of the week.
And sets a little bit of a historical mark as well, as Keselowski's now third win at Kentucky Speedway makes him the first Sprint Cup driver to claim 3 career wins at that relatively young racetrack. Following Keselowski and Edwards, Ryan Newman, Kurt Busch, Tony Stewart in the top 5. 6th through 10th, Greg Biffle, Jamie McMurray, Matt Kenseth, Kevin Harvick, and Martin Truex Jr. So that means 3 of the 4 Stewart-Haas racing cars making it inside the top 10. Danica Patrick got a top 20, so all 4 inside the top 20. Resurgence for them, or was this something? Or is this something that we should have expected earlier on in the year from a group of 4 drivers who are getting all of their equipment from Hendrick Motorsports?
I don't know. Maybe it was just a fluke.
You speaking for Danica Patrick?
Just for that car, yeah. I mean, it was just it was good for everybody else, but it's good for her. I mean, she makes some strides here and there. It's like she takes force.
She's just totally inconsistent.
That is exactly the thing, and we talk about the consistency level that you have to have each and every week. They go 1 step forward, they go 10 steps back. She just sets the par for course and goes about 30 steps back.
Well, I guess we'll find out what she does this weekend.
With her, in my eyes, they start out too slow, but they finish good. If they can put the good start with a good finish, I don't see how she can't run top 10 every week.
I think
top 15 even.
Yeah.
I think what annoys me the most, and I think we talked about this at one time when she was like, it was great. We were really shooting for a top 25, and it's like, you should be shooting for more than
shooting
that.
for higher than that.
You should be shooting for that top 10s, top 15s, or something along those lines. I felt really bad, though, when I just heard his name, and it rang a bell in my head for Martin Truex Jr. this past weekend.
Yeah, we're going to get back to him in a minute.
I know we are. I just had to say that before I forgot.
Right.
Win for Keselowski gives him 4 wins on the season, so no new winners. That means 11 drivers with a win. Looking forward to the upcoming chase for the Sprint Cup if everything remains the same. Those who are in on points but don't have a win, they include the rookie Chase Elliott, Ryan Newman, Dale Earnhardt Jr. That's going to change. Austin Dillon, Jamie McMurray, Trevor Bayne, Casey Kane, Ryan Blaney, and Kyle Larson are also inside the top 20, but they're outside of the chase looking in. We've been keeping an update on this like we did last year with Kyle Busch. Tony Stewart's win a couple of weeks ago at Sonoma and the 5th place finish this last week at Kentucky does have him in the chase. He's 31 points ahead of Brian Scott, who is 31st in points. So we'll keep an eye on that as we go on through, because that could still change between now and Richmond.
It could, but I tell you what, we're seeing a little bit different of Tony Stewart over the past couple weeks, especially with that win in his pocket now. He's got that pep in his step that we've been talking about needing to see this whole season, going into the fact that he's going to have to make the chase one way. But that win, we were talking about
I think
that
it puts
shot.
some wind in his sails.
Yeah, it does. It did, and I think we've seen a different Tony now over the past couple weeks.
I wouldn't say different. I would say a renewed Tony.
Or back to the old.
Well, yeah, back to the old, but renewed.
Maybe.
You know,
If he
refreshed.
was the old Tony, He'd have a lot more wins right now this year.
Well, maybe. maybe. By the way, noted, he's doing a special paint scheme this weekend that Gene Haas has set him up with. Have you seen this?
I think I got a chance
I have.
to see it.
It's a variation on Kurt Busch's Haas automation car.
Oh, yes.
But instead of it being all black and gray and all that, it's gray with red on the bottom of it.
Yeah,
and
it
that's
almost-
a sharp-looking car.
It almost looks like a test car.
In a way, yeah. It's a
It
sharp-looking
kinda
car. I
reminds
hope they come out with that. And sorry to my wife who's listening, but if they come out with that on diecast, I'm going to have to buy it.
I didn't hear anything. Did you hear anything, John?
What's
didn't hear a word.
150 bucks?
See? Yes.
Let's go over to the NHRA. K&N Route 66 Nationals taking place just outside of Chicago, Illinois. NHRA's Mellow Yellow Drag Racing Series saw winners that included Antron Brown in Top Fuel. He bested J.R. Todd, getting a whole shot win. Ran a 3.777 ETA at 321.19 miles per hour.
That was probably the best run I've seen in a while. Even going back to that J.R. Todd, Doug Kalita.
Oh, yeah.
That was a great one too. But this was
We're seeing
amazing.
some amazing
Antron
finals
Brown,
here.
he's gotten him something back there again.
That he does. Jack Beckman, the funny car winner, bested Ron Capps, ran a 3.955 elapsed time, 324.05 miles per hour. This is the big shock. Jason Line was not the winner in Pro Stock.
You know why? Because we both agreed that he was going to win last week.
Yeah, exactly. It's the one time we actually decided to pick Jason Line. He goes, nope, not going to do it. Actually, he lost to Bo Butner in the semifinals. Bo ends up losing in the finals, though, to Greg Anderson. Anderson posted a 6.644 elapsed time, 209.01 miles per hour. And in Pro Stock, Andrew Hines got the win, beating Angel Sampé with a whole shot win. Hines ran a 6.858 ETA at 194.41 miles per hour, and that still freaks me out that you go that fast on a motorcycle.
That's just nuts.
Yeah, very.
With the win over the weekend, Antron Brown is now your new points leader in Top Fuel by 2 points over the aforementioned Doug Kalita. Steve Torrance is 144 back, Brittany Force 160 behind, and Tony Schumacher 253 out of the lead. Ron Capps continues to lead in Funny Car, 144 points over the winner, Jack Beckman. Courtney Force now 176 back. Matt Hagan trails by 240. Tommy Johnson's 265 behind. Jason Line, yeah, it really didn't hurt him, continues to lead Pro Stock. He is up only, quote-unquote, 80 on Greg Anderson, both of whom have clinched playoff spots, by the way, for the end of the season, because Bo Butner is in third, 574 points back. Alan Johnson, 699, and Drew Skillman, 755.
At this point, how do you feel when you see those kinds of numbers in your head and you know you're in third? Is that like demoralizing? Because to me,
Yeah.
that would just be demoralizing.
I mean, do you just go, oh, it's really not my year?
yeah, I would just hang it up by that point for the rest of the year and just take a nice long vacation.
They are hoping for the playoffs, though, so that's what they're shooting for. Eddie Krawick, still your Pro Stock motorcycle points leader, has got a 130-point advantage over this past weekend's winner, Andrew Hines. Angel Sampé, 168 back. Gerald Savoy, 211 back. And Hector Arana is 295 points in the hole. So, hey, at least they're closer.
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton dominated the day at his home course. Britain's Silverstone course in Formula One claims the pole, takes off when the race starts, and really never looked back. Nico Rosberg was able to overcome some car troubles and, quite frankly, a less than stellar qualifying effort. Claims second with a caveat. With 2 laps to go, Rosberg's crew informed him that he needed to be careful with his gearbox, informing him he needed to avoid shifting into 7th gear. Yeah, that's a no-no according to Formula One's new radio rules. Garners him a 10-second delay following the end of the race, and that's a penalty that dropped him officially from 2nd to 3rd.
Yeah.
And it moves the youngster, Max Verstappen, 18 years old, up to 2nd place. Daniel Ricciardo, Kimi Räikkönen fill out the top 5, trailed by Sergio Perez and his Force India teammate Nico Hülkenberg. I continue to be impressed by what's going on at Sahara Force India.
Yeah, something's good.
No doubt. Carlos Sainz, Sebastian Vettel, not a great day for him, and Daniel Kvyat in the top 10. The penalty and Hamilton's win all conspire. They close up the championship battle. 1-point lead for Rosberg over the surging Hamilton. Kimi Räikkönen's now 62 points back. Daniel Ricciardo up to 4th, trails by 68. Sebastian Vettel drops to 5th in points, 70 back. Rest of your top 5, Max Verstappen, Valtteri Bottas, Sergio Perez, Felipe Massa, and Romain Grosjean. Grosjean 140 points out of the lead. In Constructors' Cup, you got Mercedes, 335 points total. Ferrari's got 204. Yeah, that's a runaway. Red Bull got 198, so the battle for second is on. Williams has 92. Force India, 73. You got Toro Rosso with 41, McLaren 32, Haas F1 with 28, Renault with 6, and Manor 1.
We're going for 1.
But they have one more point than Sauber,
But
who's got none.
They have a point.
Yes. And then we got IndyCar. This will round out your weekend. The run was almost as easy for Joseph Newgarden as it was for Lewis Hamilton as they went to Iowa Speedway. Coming into the event, Newgarden could have lamented about always being a bridesmaid and never a bride, to coin a term, because he'd made a habit of finishing second at Iowa Speedway the past 2 years.
Yeah.
But he dominated last Sunday. Grabbed the lead on lap number 1, went on to lead 282 of 300 laps, including that final one, the most important one. Gets his first career win on an oval course, his first win of 2016, and all that while he's still trying to recover from that broken right clavicle that he suffered at Texas Motor Speedway.
Maybe, well, not that I want to see that, but maybe
Yeah.
it's kind of like one of those, like the Kyle Busch leg messed up. They broke his leg.
Causes
Seems
you
like
to maybe
everybody
zero in
does-
on what you need to do on the track, maybe?
Yeah, it really helps you focus for some reason.
Yeah, the adrenaline overcomes the pain
Yeah,
in my eyes.
yeah. Yeah, I'm about to say he so cool.
And I'll ask this, and I'm assuming that you have had some form of an injury that you have gone and raced despite you having it? And it didn't even have to be race-related necessarily.
Now, if you can't answer that question because you get in trouble from the missus, it's okay.
No, I
wink.
haven't raced injured,
Okay.
Okay.
but the worst thing I've had happen to me in a car is my throttle leg cramp up really bad
Okay.
and have to turn around and drive with my left foot by itself.
Oh.
That's not very easy. That's
No,
not
I
very
wouldn't
easy.
think so. I wouldn't think so.
Not easy at
how
all.
Do you, if you remember, how did you end up finishing that race?
I think I ended up 6th that race.
Out of
If I remember right, the field was 15 or 16 that night.
That's not horrible when you think about it. You're totally changing up the way that you drive a car.
I think I started 12th that night and worked my way up to 4th
Okay.
and lost 2 spots due to a cramp in my leg.
All considered, that's not horrible.
Yeah, now see, if you had done even better, you'd be doing the Alabama two-step every week.
That's true, yeah,
Track.
really.
If I had been fighting for the lead coming off of turn 2 or turn 4 or something, and my leg cramp up then, and then I lose 2 spots due to that,
Now
yeah,
that- yeah.
I would have been upset.
Yeah, just
Yeah, I understand.
I would have
that.
been very upset.
just a little
Yeah,
bit.
but all things considered, again, that's not horrible. You did pretty well. All right, so here we go. You've got, Newgarden's up to second in points now. Will Power claims second overall. Scott Dixon, Simon Pagenaud, Michael Elation finished 5th, 6th through 10th. Alexander Rossi, his best run since winning the Indy 500. Tony Kanaan, Sebastian Bourdais, James Hinchcliffe, and Charlie Kimball. Simon Pagenaud continues to lead the points race, up 73 on now new second place. Joseph Newgarden. Will Power is third, 75 back. Scott Dixon, 88 behind, and Ilio Castroneves now trails the leader by 91 in 5th. The rest of your top 10, Tony Kanaan 6th, Alexander Rossi up to 7th, Carlos Munoz and a tie for 9th/10th, Charlie Kimball and Graham Rahal, each 134 points out of the lead. So that brings us to racing this weekend.
yes.
Xfinity Series runs at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. It's the Auto Lotto 200. I have no idea what that means. Airtime on PRN Radio and the NBC Sports Network, 3:30 p.m. Eastern today, 2:30 p.m. Central Time. Then everything else happens on Sunday, and I say everything else, it's not like we got a whole lot this weekend. It starts with the Sprint Cup Series. They'll be joining the Xfinity Series at the mile-long oval, New Hampshire 301. So you can get Auto Lotto to sponsor the Xfinity Series race, but you had to have the state of New Hampshire sponsor the Sprint Cup Series race?
If it made sense, it would be weird.
That's probably true, too. NBC Sports Network and PRN Radio got the coverage 12:30 p.m. Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Central Time on Sunday. Jimmy Johnson grabbed the pole for that race yesterday.
I was just talking to Matt about this before we went on air. You had stepped out for a minute. I cannot believe that this is Jimmy Johnson's first pole at New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
It is kind of strange to
It's-
think that. It seems like he's won and done everything.
It's
And then,
strange to me, too.
Yeah, I mean, you sit there and you think about it. There's several tracks that he doesn't have a pole at, and there's several tracks that he doesn't have a win at. It's
true.
But he's been extremely dominant. So that's going to be a little bit weird. He won't get to win this weekend, though.
You're convinced.
I already know that's not going to happen.
You already know.
Yes.
You have looked into
I
your
have been to
crystal
the
ball.
future, okay?
You've looked into your crystal
Look,
ball and
my-
you've come up with the winner.
I brought the DeLorean this week, okay?
I agree with Dustin.
I have to admit, I agree with you as well. I made my prediction on a fan site on
What did you?
on a fan page on Facebook. after the show, make sure that you're tuned
Yes,
into that
you gotta
because we'll
check
be
that
posting that on social media coming up a little bit later on this morning.
You're going to have to pick somebody this week, too.
That's right,
I've
too.
got a pick
You'll be
too.
in predictions.
I've got a pick too.
All right. Verizon IndyCar Series ran last weekend, going to run again this weekend. They'll wrap up the racing this weekend with the Honda Indy Toronto Grand Prix. IMS Radio Network, NBC Sports Network starts 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Central Time, or whenever the Sprint Cup Series race gets done. Series is going to run on a street course carved out of the downtown area of Toronto. It'll total 11 turns in 1 3/4 miles. That's a lot of turning in a very short period of time.
Yes, it is.
And they say because it is a very tight course, it's going to make passing quite difficult, so it might be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Just to let you know,
Just
this
let me know.
Wednesday,
This Wednesday.
this coming Wednesday,
Oh, yeah.
Camping World Truck Series is in action as they return to dirt.
I love this.
Yep, the Aspen Dental, as they're now calling it, Eldora Dirt Derby. There's a name.
A dead.
The Aspen Dental Eldora Dirt Derby.
Acronyms for Josh Coy. A dead.
A dead, yes.
A day.
MRN Radio, Fox Sports 1, Wednesday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central Time. Can't wait. Looking forward to that.
That's one of those things
I
you look
heard that.
Yeah. This is one of those. This is one you look forward to every single time.
And the number of people that are coming out of the woodwork to run this. Kyle Larson, Ken Schrader, who we haven't heard from at all this year.
running a special paint scheme.
Yeah, I mean, all the people that are coming out that are going to run this race.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun to watch.
We've
It really
We've seen some names come out there that late model Marcus even talked about it on the phone with us a couple times when we talk about Eldora. Is the fact that you get a lot of drivers that you don't normally see.
Yeah.
And then you get a lot of these really young, talented drivers that you've never heard of, but they come out.
Christopher Bell last year.
There we
Comes out
there
of
it is right there.
absolutely nowhere, grabs the win, and guess what? He's now a regular in the Camping World Truck Series.
See, all it takes is one win at Eldora.
Yeah.
And a guy I've competed against, he's based out of Georgia, Justin Shipley. He's driving in the race this year.
Oh,
For,
is he?
Yes, for Jacob Wallace, based out of Georgia.
Very nice.
There's another one that late model Mark was talking about last week too. Friesen?
Stuart Friesen.
Stuart Friesen, that's it.
He a local guy?
He's out of the Northeast.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's the one that was out of the Northeast, but he's going to be racing too.
We may or may not at some point in time hear from Late Model Mark this morning. Who knows?
Well, I don't know, because every time we say his name, it's like saying Beetlejuice 3 times. It's okay, Mark.
You almost say like that's a bad thing.
No, I love late
All
model
right,
Mark.
just double check it.
There is no dirt report this week, though, Mark. By the way,
Yeah, because your place got rained out.
yeah, Mother Nature swept the night last weekend at Talladega Short Track.
Yep.
Back to Kentucky Speedway, where A.J. Allmendinger got involved in a wreck during Saturday evening's Kentucky Speedway event. Sustained an injured thumb in the process. They took x-rays of it, and Allmendinger reports they came back fine, but he did have to leave the track Saturday evening with the thumb in a splint. The injury caused JTG Dougherty Racing to withdraw from the tire test this past week at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Crew chief Randall Burnett said that it was going to give Allmendinger time to heal, the team time to regroup. Allmendinger said he'd be ready to race this weekend in New Hampshire, and he proved himself quite capable in qualifying.
Yes, yes, he
So
did.
he's back.
He is, and I was kind of curious. You never really got a chance to really see how that thumb got messed up. I'm wondering if it was maybe after the accident, after the wreck, maybe kind of tossing something around in the car, maybe hit that thumb the wrong way.
It is possible that it's that, but we've also seen where, and this is happening in all different kinds of sports now, where if the driver knows they're getting into a wreck, they take their hands off the wheel
Yeah,
and
they
maybe
usually do
cross
that.
them over here.
Yeah.
Wonder if maybe A.J. Allmendinger left his hands on the wheel maybe a little too long.
That's a possibility.
Very possible.
So it's
Very possible.
It's likely it's one of those two. Either his hands were on the steering wheel a little too long, or he got a little bit overly rambunctious and throwing stuff in frustration inside the cockpit of the car, and that was that.
I was
I
about to say,
I agree with Steve on that, too. Knowing AJ, that's not out of the question.
yeah, he probably tried
Yeah.
to save it because he got out of the car and then he
Got kind of a short fuse.
tossed his Hans device, into
Yeah.
the car, and then as he was starting to walk towards the ambulance, then he started really worrying about that hand. So
Yeah. So it's
Probably
it's
kicked in.
possible that it is that. We don't know, and he's not talking.
no.
On the other hand, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is. Thursday, it was announced that the fan favorite, Dale Earnhardt Jr., is going to miss this weekend's New Hampshire race. Several reports state that Earnhardt is suffering from concussion-like symptoms, and there is no timetable for his return to the number 88 Chevrolet SS. This weekend, he's going to be replaced by former Cup driver and current Junior Motorsports Xfinity Series driver Alex Bowman, who does have some Sprint Cup Series experience. He ran the past couple of years in the Sprint Cup Series, and then just sponsorship kind of dried up, so he found himself back down. I don't have necessarily a problem with Allmendinger not in a New Hampshire, but as we go throughout the season, I don't know whether Alex Bowman's the long-term solution. We'll get back to that in a second because we know that should Dale Earnhardt Jr. miss one more week, Bowman's not in the car.
Yeah.
But we don't know, and Dale Earnhardt says that he doesn't really know when he may have suffered this. Now, we've seen him in a couple of accidents here, like at Daytona and other races here, but he can't pinpoint where he thinks this might have happened.
Yeah, that wreck at Daytona this year with Amelia, that was a really hard lick, but it didn't seem like there was a lot of phasing there. But
Yeah.
he's taken a lot of hitting this year.
I will say this as well, and we know that Dale Earnhardt Jr. has a history of concussions.
Yes,
Most notably Talladega from
Talladega,
2012
yes.
when he had to miss it. And I've always heard that once you suffer one, it is much easier to continue to suffer more.
I have heard the same thing. It's just like if you.
So it may not take that serious a
Yeah.
jolt anymore for him to now suffer a concussion, or at least a concussion-like symptom.
I mean, it's the same type of thing when you look at, if you roll your ankle, one time, it rolls a lot easier each
Yeah.
time, and I think it's the same with every body part.
It may
Once you
be.
break something, it's easier to break because it's already been damaged.
As you have, and obviously I'm making an assumption when it comes to this, but you get into wrecks that either could be your fault or even,
Right.
or not your fault even.
Right.
Ever had the situation where you felt like, you know what, maybe things just aren't quite right?
I have one time. I was involved in a pretty serious wreck in a Thunder car at Talladega.
Okay.
Where I basically went underneath another car. I hit him so hard.
Wow.
I felt rough for the next week, and I chose to set out the next week.
Yeah.
But I felt fine the
Okay.
following week after. But yeah, you have those feelings when you get out of the car.
Yeah, I imagine. You get a lot sore.
Oh yeah.
I don't know as I've ever suffered a concussion, but then again,
I know I haven't
who knows?
Neither have I.
yet.
Maybe I caused enough damage to my
Well,
brain to have
knock-
forgotten it.
knock
That's
on
possible.
wood. Yeah.
When we come back, we'll continue to talk about it. Earnhardt talked about it, and they have made plans should Earnhardt not be cleared in time for the Brickyard 400. All of that and more. We're just underway here on the fastest hour in radio. Stay close.
You're listening to the fastest hour in radio on Superstation 101.
Flashlight fail you again? Security system batteries running low? Emergency situations call for immediate action, and you don't have time to be fighting bad batteries in the dark. Interstate Batteries has the highest quality batteries that stand up to the challenge again and again. Get your batteries from Interstate before you find yourself alone in the dark. Call 1-800-CRANK-IT for a dealer near you. Interstate Batteries, the right battery every time.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
Let's talk track. No matter how fast you take those turns or speed through the straightaway, you've got to make sure your engine is taken care of because your health is your engine. You need the healthier alternative to cigarettes. You need Wild Vapors. Wild Vapors is known for their signature formula mixed in an off-site clean room facility for their own brands. They only use the purest vaping juice on the circuit without sucralose or diacetyl. You still get the same satisfaction of smoking without the high health risk of cigarettes. The crew at Wild Vapors knows you're busy on the lead lap and can't always take a pit stop when you need it. That's why they provide you with the best products on the circuit sent directly to you at your garage. That's right, call in your order and they'll send it directly to you. Now that's the type of crew you need for the Brickyard 400. Am I right? So don't be a lug nut short of a full set. Find the healthier alternative to smoking. Make your next pit stop at Wild Vapors of Sylacauga today. 256-369-2569. Find them in the Sylacauga Walmart Shopping Center or their Alexander City location. Stay on track with Wild Vapors.
Hey, welcome back in. Fastest hour in radio rolls on, and when we left you, we were talking about Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Yes.
And he stepped up to the plate. And I will say this, and this is the ultimate credit. This is knowing your limitations. He stepped up to the plate and said, you know what? I don't feel well. We need to get this checked out. said in a statement, quote, "I wasn't feeling great the week going into Kentucky Speedway, thought it was possibly severe allergies, saw a family doctor, was given medication for allergies and a sinus infection. When that didn't help, I decided to dig a little deeper. Because of my symptoms and my history with concussions, and after my recent wrecks at Michigan and Daytona, I reached out and met with a neurological specialist. After further evaluation, they felt that it was best for me to sit out." Now, he mentioned that. Of course, we talked about it. He suffered concussions in his career in the Cup Series. The most recent one that we can tell goes back to 2012, caused him to miss 3 races in the chase. That included Talladega. Earnhardt also has decided he is going to, when he passes off this mortal coil, donate his brain to scientific research to help better understand concussions, how they affect people, and what can be done to lessen the chances of suffering a concussion. Before he can drive again, he is going to have to be cleared by a NASCAR-approved neurologist who has experience in sports-related head injuries for about 5 years, according to NASCAR's own rules. So they go through a very tight procedure when it comes to this.
Yes.
And I think it's a good thing. But again, kudos to Dale. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago with another driver, in the fact that you could easily try and just brush it off.
Yes.
And go, this is my job, this is my living, this is how I do things, and quote-unquote tough it out. But it's not the best thing for you. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. stepped up and realized, you know what, this may or may not hurt his chances. NASCAR hasn't checked in on this. I would think they would give him a medical waiver on this.
Well, I mean, you're talking about Matt Tifft, as a matter of fact.
Yes,
Matt Tifft,
just a couple weeks ago with the fact that they found the tumor. But we saw Junior also make that choice after that Talladega wreck that he sustained that concussion.
Yeah.
We saw him pull himself out of the car. It's in the chase.
Yeah.
And he still pulled himself out of that car, knowing that his chase was over at that point.
Yeah. In this case, I would think, because of the time of the year, I would think that NASCAR would give him the waiver once he is cleared to come back. Should he win, they'll give him the waiver and let him get into the chase.
Yeah, because technically, I mean, at this point, they kind of have to give him the waiver if he comes back and say he wins a race.
Sure.
Because if he's in the top 30 in points, which he's in there now.
He's in the top 16 in points
He
right
will
now.
drop a little bit, but he's not going to drop anywhere near 30th.
No.
So, and if he go out there and grab a win, we've got a lot of tracks that he's really good at.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, we've seen a resurgence in Junior to the point where he could win any week.
Yeah.
At any track right now.
Absolutely. He's a quote-unquote danger at any track.
I agree.
So we've got that situation going on now. Alex Bowman runs this weekend, but should Earnhardt not be cleared or be ready in time for the upcoming Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Hendrick Motorsports is going to dig into their history and bring back Jeff Gordon for one race only. Friday morning, the organization announced that should Earnhardt not be back in time for the July 24th race at the famed Rectangle, Jeff Gordon would strap himself into the 88, which just seems so weird.
I've already seen the pictures circulating of the 88 Exalta.
I understand. Yeah.
I'm like, really?
That's a little unusual, and I
Come
get
on.
that. But to see Jeff Gordon in any number other than the 24.
It would be extremely weird, but at the same time, it'd be really cool to see him come back and support, somebody
Sure.
that for the I mean, he watched him grow up, and then they raced together in his younger years.
And
So
here's the thing. You really can't find anybody better if you're looking for somebody to pull off a bench to run. Gordon retired at the end of last year, spent the first half of the season in the booth, obviously, at Fox Sports coverage of NASCAR. 93 wins in his 24-year career. Among those 93 wins, 5 of them came at the Brickyard. No one at Hendrick Motorsports, by the way, is commenting on anything past the Brickyard 400. But you can't pull anybody off the shelf better than Jeff Gordon.
You can't.
5 wins at Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And it's his home track, so there's that little extra motivation for a Jeff Gordon.
I want now refresh my memory on this one. But let's say Gordon steps into the car at Indy, and Gordon wins.
Yes.
What exactly does that do for Junior at that point?
Absolutely nothing.
That's right, because Junior didn't start the race.
Junior did not start the race.
Right.
It does absolutely nothing for Jeff Gordon either, because this is a one-race only deal. So while he has a win, it wouldn't qualify him for a chase.
It would just give him, 95 wins?
It'd give him 94 wins.
94
and
wins.
6 at Indy. Good grief. Like the man needed anything else to make sure that he's in the Hall of Fame.
Now he could possibly have an asterisk next to his name. He
Yeah,
came
right.
out of retirement and won a race.
Yeah, exactly.
And then went back off into the sunset.
Yikes. Would you like to be in on this? You can. 941-1011, toll free 866-551-9933. Should you be a little shy and not want to talk on the air, you can also get a hold of us on social media. For example, on Facebook, facebook.com/the fastest hour in radio.
Of course, you can always reach out to us on Twitter @fastesthour, Instagram Instagram at Fastest Hour, and check out all of our replays at youtube.com. Look up The Fastest Hour on Radio and click the subscribe button.
I want to say that again.
That word
Easy for you to say.
always messes me up. I hate that word. Subscribe button. That way you get that weekly email. I'm just going to call it the weekly email button.
The weekly email button?
There we go. Weekly email button. It's going to send you an email weekly.
Easy
And
enough.
we do have a guest in studio, so it's myself, Steve West, that's Dustin Harmer, of course, John Myers. You know us all so well because we are the regulars here, but we have a guest in studio who is a regular at Talladega Short Track. Matt Nicholson, welcome in.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, we appreciate you coming in today, and give us a little bit of the past. When was the first time you strapped yourself into a racer in competitive form?
That would be 2007 in August.
Okay.
We, Dad and I, we had some friends in Columbiana, the Revis family, that had a friend of theirs, Tim Jacobs. He had a car that was just sitting in the garage under a tarp that had a very, very strong engine in it.
Okay.
That we knew was very strong. And we got tied into him and talked to him, and Tim had gotten hurt and really bad in a motorcycle accident. So Dad and I talked about it I think we talked about a week about it. We went and looked at the car, checked everything out, and we talked and said, all right, if you want to do it, let's do it. And we made a mutual agreement. So I think we went and got the car on a Friday afternoon, got the car to the house, checked it over, done everything, and the agreement was Dad was going to drive the first 2 races.
Okay.
Just to check everything out. And I said, okay, that's fine, no problem. Well, funny story out of the first race. Actually, it was the second race. He made what I call the worst mistake you can do going in a corner is stand on the brakes.
Oops.
Locked all 4 brakes up.
Ooh.
It went over the turn 3 bank. And I thought, oh boy, there goes this car we just bought. I think I set a land speed record running down the top of the wall on the front stretch, trying to get down to make sure he didn't flip. And I know the first words that come out of my mouth, did it flip? No, I'm good. So pulled it back to the trailer. We checked it out. We just decided to park it for the night and get it back. And anything that was needed to be fixed, we was going to fix it. And the following week, after he ran it that second week, I got in the car, and that was, I think it was the first week of September, I got in the car competitively for the first time.
Okay.
And then 2008, we competed in a full season at Shelby County, just getting our feet wet, learning the car, going to have fun.
Yeah.
Every week, just going to have fun. And then
Got to have fun.
2009, we decided to go for a championship, and then it resulted in the track championship over there in the Thunder Car division. And 2011, I'm sorry, we stepped up to a different, more stronger, more competitive car, and thought we was going to be doing good, but we ended up getting in a 4-year winless slump, and that felt like King Kong was on my shoulders every week.
Oh, sure.
But we still kept the course, had fun, went to the track and learned. Anything we could learn to make the car better and keep it up to par, we did. I think in the Thunder car, my best finish at Talladega was 3rd in Thunder cars, and that was in a 26-car field on big race weekend in October. And that was a task in itself because there was a pretty severe wreck going into turn 1 on lap, I think it was lap 4 or 5. They came over the race receiver radios and said, red flag, stop where you are. So I rolled to turn 4 and stopped and nosed the car down and looked, and there was probably 14 or 15 cars in a pileup, and turn 1 was totally blocked.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hello.
I pulled up beside another guy, and we both looked at each other, and I think both of our eyes were as big as golf balls, and we were thinking, we were glad we weren't 3 spots further back.
Yeah.
Because if we'd have been 3 spots further back, we're toast.
Yeah,
we're done for the night.
We've seen it happen at the front of the field. We've seen it happen in the middle of the field. We've seen it happen at the rear of the field.
Absolutely.
So it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
You just kind of happen to be in the right place at the right time on that night.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a quarter flip, and hoping you're in the right spot, right time. And if you're in the wrong spot at the wrong time, find a way to get around it the best way you can. And if you can't, just say, all you can say is, oh, well, wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah.
Right.
That's all you can say. But and then in 2015. Yeah, it's 2015. Why am I thinking it's 2017 for some reason?
Don't do that.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Don't push it that far. No.
We a friend of mine, actually late in 2014, I purchased a car from a guy in Wetumpka, and we decided to make the move to go to late model, and took last year to basically back up, punt, and relearn dirt racing again because I was going from a 3,400 pound car to a 2,300 pound car, and it's radically different.
I bet.
And we stepped back, learned, and right off the gate, first race, actually first practice session of the year, second lap I made, the drive shaft brake slam in half.
I remember him posting about that.
The drive shaft broke in half. I thought, great, here we go again. And it ended up causing more damage than I thought, so we had to back up and punt again, get the damage repaired. I said, all right, we're not going to compete at Talladega. We're going to get our feet wet, learn in a smaller fields, go over back down to Shelby County, learn the car, fill the car out, get our feet wet. And I'm not going to say we got lucky. It was just, I was going to say it was just our night. Qualified on the pole, the first race we ran down there, led every lap wire to wire, came out with a victory, got that 4-year winless slump off of our shoulders, which I got out of the car, and my wife, God love her, she ran up to the car. She was crying just as hard as she could. She said, oh my gosh, finally.
Yeah, you know why she was saying that, right? Finally, I don't have to hear you gripe about it anymore. You got your win. Go home.
Yeah, we loaded up and, got ready and got everything prepared and went home.
Yeah.
And that was a weight off of our shoulders, and it just made going to the track every week for the rest of the year easier.
Sure.
It made it fun again. Like,
it made it fun,
less stressful. Getting the win, kind of just brushing things off, and being able to be you again.
It was more like when Dad and I got the car on the trailer, and my wife and my mom helping us get the car on the trailer too. Close the gate up, get your fire suit off, and get some clean clothes on to go home. It's like you just get in the truck, you crank up, you're pulling out the gate of the track, and you go just,
Big
finally,
sigh of relief.
Finally, yeah. And then that's that from there, and then we started out incepted as M&R Motorsport, excuse me. And that was myself and my dad, because we made the decision to get the team. But the way we always looked at it is my mom is represented through my dad. Mm-hmm. And then when I got married in 2011, man, I'm off on my dates today.
You are
bad.
He is in a doghouse tonight.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be in trouble tonight. I'm way off on my dates, but
he's correcting himself, though.
Yeah.
It's not like going,
I'm catching
I'm married in
myself.
2010, and I'm convinced that it was 2010.
I'm correcting myself. Well,
I don't know how many years.
I got engaged in 2010. Say that. Yeah. When my wife came along, she's represented through me in my initial in the team. We look at ourselves, we're a family team.
Sure.
We compete as a family. We go to the track as a family. We have fun as a family. And that's the way it always is and always will be. And last year, I was brought to a group of drivers, the highest concentration of them being in the Southeast. The group Thumbs Up for a Cure race team.
Yeah.
Nice.
The group brings awareness to childhood cancer and childhood illnesses. And
excellent.
What it does is, if you come into the group as a driver, you get paired off with a child that has an illness. And we were very, very fortunate enough. There's a little girl in Oregon, Alexa Reyes. She has been rendered blind and has a brain tumor and has neurofibromatosis.
Wow.
She has literally been through it all. And conversing with her every week before the race, I started a tradition last year. When I'd get loaded up at the shop, be ready to go and resting, we'd talk to her via Skype or via Facebook Messenger or however, where we could video chat before the race. And guys, every word in the English dictionary that describes a positive situation, it falls into this.
Yeah.
She's an absolute blessing to all of us.
Yes.
She is a somewhat, oh man. She's a great little girl. She's a very big inspiration. Her family as well. Right now they currently travel cross country for her treatment. They go from Portland, Oregon to Pittsburgh.
Wow.
I think every 6 weeks.
Holy cow.
And yeah. But they're a blessing, and on via video messenger every week. She said, I got to pray for you before every race.
Nice.
And if that doesn't it doesn't matter if you're a sprint cup driver or down driving in our ranks, down to even a hot shot car. If you've got a little 13-year-old girl wanting to say a prayer for you for safety every week, if that doesn't make you be a better person, you're not human.
No, I agree.
You're not human.
You got her name on your car?
I don't have her name on her car, but how I represent her, I have the gray ribbon for brain cancer.
Gotcha.
That's how I represent her. And then I have two other little kids, two little boys, based out of Florida. They both have leukemia. And I have the orange ribbon representing them for leukemia.
Nice.
On both sides of the car. That's how
cool
I
stuff.
represent them. And last year, I had a wild idea. I think it was on a Tuesday. I said, I want to incorporate her into our team name because she became such a big, big, big part of our team and our daily life, being involved in our motorsports operation. So I threw it out to Dad and Mom and my wife. We all sat together and talked, and we said, how about we incorporate her name? She goes by, her name's Alexa, but she goes by Lexi. I said, how about we incorporate her name into the team? And we all looked at each other and said, that's a great idea.
That's where the L came in.
Let's do that. And so
I was trying to figure that out.
That's how MRL Motorsports, we evolved into MRL Motorsports.
Nice.
So
very cool.
Well, you talk about family, and we talk about it right here on the show each and every week about the sponsorships and stuff like that. Talk about some of your sponsors that you have. That your car is very decked out.
Oh yeah. It was a Friday night. I think the third week of the year. About 9 o'clock on a Friday night, I done worked to the car getting ready for the next race, the next day. Mom walks up to me, she says, and she hands me one of her business cards. I look at her, and I've kind of got a look on my face like, what's this for? She says, let's figure out a way to put it on the car. I looked, I said, okay, yeah, let's go. Let's do it. Because I'd already made the decision we was going to run one more year with our paint scheme that we had. We had sponsorship and backing from Skelton's Heating and Air based out of Childersburg. Brian and those guys had always been supportive of me since I'd started. They'd loaned the shop to me for any body work and redoing the body if I had to do any major body repairs. And then she decided, she said, let's get on the car. I want to display everything. I said, sure. And then we went to talking and how we do this, how we do that. And then we came to an agreement. And then I got a hold of my graphics guy that I wanted to go to, Bruce Carroll, based out of Auburn. I talked to him. I said, okay, I've got these logos. We got everything here. He said, yeah, get them to me. And he said, we'll get something going. And then I think it was a few days after that, my sister Chastity, with her business, Oh the Possibilities Arts and Crafts, Homemade Arts and Crafts. And let me backtrack a minute. My mom, she's a Scentsy representative for Scentsy brands that does air fresheners and things of that nature.
I'm familiar with it. My wife knows all about it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
all over the house.
Every female knows.
It's all over my house. I know.
If she needs some, let me know and I can get her through to a good representative.
Sounds good.
And then we got the Scentsy brands on the car, and then I approached my sister. I said, hey, your business is taking off and you're getting very popular. I said, do you want to get on the car just to help boast it? She said, absolutely. So I got Bruce that logo as well, and then a gentleman I had sponsor me last year, Terry Jinks, an agent for Alpha Insurance, he was with me last year, and he wanted to get back on again this year. So we got all that together, and then you guys have seen the car, and then there she is. And
I tell you what,
good-looking car.
his sister does amazing work. As a matter of fact, I just ordered something from her a couple weeks ago.
Did you really?
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
I did.
Nice.
She did it's an H, and it's decorated with red, white, and blue with the flag, and it's all done up real well. I tell you what, it looks great on the front of the house. So.
Herself and a co-worker of hers, Janice Groves, and Janice's husband, Tommy, they all work together doing the woodwork and getting everything ready, but she does all of the hand painting and all the art herself.
She does
Fantastic.
amazing work. So
Very cool stuff. Good stuff. We'll be talking with you as we go on through again as we continue on in our rundown. Feel free to comment on whatever.
Yeah.
Matt Nicholson in studio. You can call 2-941-1011 or toll free at 866-551-9933. We had made mention about last Saturday at Kentucky and some ticked off drivers.
Yeah, you think?
Probably one, no more ticked off than one Martin Truex Jr. Very unhappy despite his eighth top 10 finish of the season. He was running second to Kevin Harvick when both came down pit road on lap 196 during a caution flag. And as Truex approached his pit stall, he ended up diving in front of Harvick, jumped into his pit stall. Well, NASCAR didn't care for that. They called it passing on pit road and dropped him to the back of the lead lap. That was 22nd. Well, Truex used his anger to drive from 22nd restarting position all the way up to as high as third before he had to pit for fuel and two tires with only 10 laps to go. He did gain 10th place overall. But he said after the event, quote, "It's just one of those deals. I'm not sure why we got penalized. It's a timeline thing. Everybody does it. You get your line, you gas it up, you get to your pit." He further claimed that he did nothing that any other driver has not done, told NBC Sports pit reporter Marty Smith in a post-race interview he was going to be taking up his concerns with NASCAR.
I would too.
Yeah. As for NASCAR, following the race, officials said that they stand by the Truex call. Scott Miller, NASCAR's vice president of competition, confirmed he was visited by both Truex Jr. and his crew chief, Cole Pearn. They were seeking clarification of the rule. Miller said he didn't expect either of them to be happy, but expected the visit. Added that he took time to show them in the rule book the standard by which NASCAR made the call. Neither Pearn nor Truex Jr. had a comment following that meeting with NASCAR, but they did not pursue this any further, but you will.
Yes, I will. You know why? Because I was watching, I forget which one of the shows I was watching. There's so many now they're on. And Parker Kligerman was on this one, so I can't remember which one that he's on.
NASCAR America.
I believe that's it. And, he brought up an extremely good point when he was talking about it. He threw his hands up saying, guys do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So why all of a sudden now are they going to decide to go with a rule against somebody that they've never enforced as of yet?
Yeah.
I mean, we see it all the time. You get to your timing line, and then you juke off into your pit box.
And as soon as you get to that timing line, knowing that your pit box is before the next timing line, how many times have we seen drivers gas it up to get there?
Yeah.
So because they're not worried about it, you're going to stop. It's not like you're going to be nailed for speeding.
Yeah, every single week.
They come up with this arcane passing on pit road sort of thing.
Yeah, it's just
they were two entirely different lanes.
They were, and
this is it for me. It's a weird interpretation of the rule book.
Yes,
and for that, I'll bring in the T-shirt that I'm wearing.
Oh gosh. This show just ended.
Yeah, really. For Roger Goodell of the NFL, if you're going, and this is the same for NASCAR.
Yeah.
We have dinged Brian France on being, if we go top 5, you got your 4 major stick and ball sports, which is the NFL, Major League Baseball, the NBA, and the NHL. We want to go top 5 because we include NASCAR in that.
Yes.
Because NASCAR, by and large, is second only to the NFL when it comes to TV viewership and the people that show up at the events.
Right.
Okay? Of those 5, you and I are probably in agreement that Brian France is probably the least favorite of our commissioners, if you will.
Yes.
Well, Roger Goodell has just hit the top for me because, again, if you're going to make a ruling, do it for everyone. Do it for all 40 drivers in the Sprint Cup Series. Do it for all the drivers in the Xfinity Series and the Camping World Truck Series. This is the first time we have ever seen this rule applied.
Ever. That I can even remember.
And
I didn't even know the rule existed.
So many people get rid of this rule, I can't see straight. Roger Goodell's the same way. Roger Goodell picks the AFC Championship game from 2 years ago where the Patriots beat the Colts and goes, hey, by the way, 11 of your 12 balls didn't check out when it came to being inflated properly. And he penalizes Tom Brady 4 games.
Yeah.
Let me remind you, 4 games.
Yes.
I'll get back to that. 3 of the 4 Colts balls also tested that way. Was Andrew Luck considered in this at all?
No.
As the Colts quarterback.
Not that I heard.
In that same game.
I didn't hear anything.
I didn't either.
Aaron Rodgers, quarterback of the Green Bay Packers and a Super Bowl winner himself, has said, you know what? I actually prefer to have the balls inflated past where the NFL regulations are. Has anyone talked about Aaron Rodgers?
No.
All right, then. If you're going to apply the rules to one, you apply them to everybody.
You have to. You can't just pick and choose when to enforce something. You can't pick and choose when to take it into consideration. And for the fact that if you see the interview on pit road with Truex after the race,
he was hot.
He was hot, but he controlled himself to the point enough. But he made a very, very good point at one thing. If they're going to stress this rule all of a sudden, they might want to bring it up in the drivers' meeting that they have every single weekend.
Exactly.
Because we never hear it out of Talladega Super Speedway.
And no. And here's the thing. You say, well, how could you? They're in the drivers' meeting. Well, the past, 3 years now, they have put the drivers' meeting video up on the Sprint Vision screens around the track, so anybody who's in the track at that point in time can see what happens in the drivers' meeting.
Yep.
They mention nothing about passing
But I
on pit road.
guarantee you, by the time we hit Talladega this
They're
fall,
going to have to now.
For the Alabama 500 weekend, I guarantee you it's going to be in that video.
Yep. They're going to have to now.
They're going to have to, because this basically just opened a whole box, because like Parker Kligerman said the other night on NASCAR America, was the fact that now that it's been done by one, all of these guys, all these drivers, that's how they approach their pit. Now every single one of them is going to be freaking out because they're going to be worried how far is too far? How far is not enough? How far before I'm, obstructing somebody else? We're going to see some issues on pit road.
And somebody will test the waters.
Oh yeah,
sure.
Somebody
there
will
has
test
to be
it.
somebody.
Somebody will test it.
They're going to push the envelope.
This is now, if you look at it this way, we've had one rule come down this year, and that's the lug nut rule, which has
we'll get back
basically
to that one
just
too.
been the free vacation weekend for somebody each and every week. Now you're looking at the fact of this could take a potential win away from numerous drivers because of how they are aggressive when they get to pit road as soon as they hit their timing line.
Right. Yeah. We'll find out. Last Wednesday night, ESPN handed out their ESPY Awards as voted on by the fans, best in any particular sports category, one of those being, as we detailed here on this show a couple of weeks ago, Best Driver. Up for the honors, IndyCar drivers Alexander Rossi, who won the Indy 500 earlier this year, defending IndyCar Series champion Scott Dixon, two-time defending Formula One Series champion Lewis Hamilton, and the two-time Pro Stock NHRA champion Erica Enders. But the winner, predictably, was NASCAR Sprint Cup Series defending champion Kyle Busch.
No, I didn't pick.
Yeah, I didn't either. Nope. I, in fact, voted for Lewis Hamilton.
Who did I end up going with? I can't even remember.
But Kyle Busch, as we just talked about a little while ago, missed the first 11 races of 2015 due to a leg injury and then goes on and wins the title.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Congratulations to NASCAR driver Michael McDowell and his wife Jamie. They've announced they've adopted a son. Jamie was recently in China finalizing the details. She is slated to return to the United States within the next few days, bringing the 3-year-old boy that they are naming Lucas along with her.
Nice.
Bad news for longtime Elliott Sadler. Sponsor partner One Main Financial.
This one floored me.
They've announced they're done after this season sponsoring the former Cup Series driver. Company stated a desire to reallocate their sponsorship monies to other efforts, did not state what those other efforts might be. Junior Motorsports said that they do intend to field 3 cars again in 2017, with Sadler piloting one of them, but said it all is going to depend upon finding a sponsor or sponsors to fill that void being left by One Main's departure. How long has he been sponsored by One Main Financial? It's been 6-7 years?
It's been quite a few because he was sponsored with when he was over at Kevin Harvick Incorporated as well, so you figure that's been several.
I think 2010, 2011. Somewhere in that time.
So that's 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, but I say it's been. I think it's been a little bit longer than that. They were associate sponsor with Kevin Harvick Incorporated, and then when they rolled over to RCR, they went right along with Elliott.
Yeah,
and then when he went to Joe Gibbs, and when he went to Junior, and he's a great guy. Got a chance to meet him at the One Main Branch Financial up in Dover, Delaware. Yeah. And but
and I don't think that they can complain about his performance. He's been top 10 every year. Yeah. He's got the win earlier this year at Talladega, which means he's in the season-ending chase as they've instituted it now for the Xfinity Series.
But now this is really going to affect him when it goes into next season. We're worrying about sponsors.
Right? Yeah, because Junior Motorsports has had some difficulty sometimes in finding sponsors there.
Yeah.
We'll have to find out how it goes. We'll keep you updated right here on the fastest hour in radio, Superstation 101 WIDE. Final 30 minutes coming your way right after we catch this breather.
Flashlight fail you again? Security system batteries running low? Emergency situations call for immediate action, and you don't have time to be fighting bad batteries in the dark. Interstate Batteries has the highest quality batteries that stand up to the challenge again and again. Get your batteries from Interstate before you find yourself alone in the dark. Call 1-800-CRANK-IT for a dealer near you. Interstate Batteries. The right battery every time.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
Let's talk track. No matter how fast you take those turns or speed through the straightaway, you've got to make sure your engine is taken care of because your health is your engine. You need the healthier alternative to cigarettes. You need Wild Vapors. Wild Vapors is known for their signature formula mixed in an off-site clean room facility for their own brands. They only use the purest vaping juice on the circuit without sucralose or diacetyl. You still get the same satisfaction of smoking without the high health risk of cigarettes. The crew at Wild Vapors knows you're busy on the lead lap and can't always take a pit stop when you need it. That's why they provide you with the best products on the circuit sent directly to you at your garage. That's right, call in your order and they'll send it directly to you. Now that's the type of crew you need for the Brickyard 400. Am I right? So don't be a lug nut short of a full set. Find the healthier alternative to smoking. Make your next pit stop at Wild Vapors of Sylacauga today. 256-369-2569. Find them in the Sylacauga Walmart Shopping Center or their Alexander City location. Stay on track with Wild Vapors.
YBE.
Welcome back in. It is the fastest hour in radio right here on Superstation 101 WIDE, where the phone lines are open to you. 9411011, toll free 866-551-9933. If you happen to be listening to this on the replay, starting Sunday morning at 5 a.m., don't call. Nobody's going to answer.
Yeah. I'll be sleeping.
Only on Saturday morning.
I will be sleeping.
John won't answer. I don't know whether you'll be up or not, but you won't answer.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
On both counts.
So short, simple, and to the point. No.
That's right.
No.
All right, dropping down here as we continue to talk about what's coming up here in the next few weeks. Jeb Burton, he's a name we haven't heard because he's been outside of racing for the past several weeks. He's landed with Biaggi Den Best Racing for 2 upcoming races. The team has landed sponsorship for these 2 events with Estes Express Lines, a full-service freight transportation provider, a truck transportation group.
Yes.
There you go.
That works.
For me to say. Burton's going to drive the number 98 Ford Mustang, sponsored by Estes Express Lines, at both Indianapolis Motor Speedway next weekend and September 9th at Richmond. So good for him. It's the second time he and the team have gotten together. The last time back in May at Charlotte, where he got a 15th place finish. Burton started the season with Richard Petty Motorsports, drove the first 11 races for the team before sponsorship issues there prompted RPM to close down that car, despite Burton posting a top 10 and 4 top 15 finishes. And at the time, he was inside the top 10 in points when the opportunity went away. Sometimes things just lack common sense, I guess.
They do, and it's actually common sense is in short supply lately.
Yeah, all around the world.
Yep.
Lack of penalties handed down this past week. In fact, only one, not counting Martin Truex's on-track penalty. This one happened during the Camping World Truck Series. Adam Brenner, crew chief for the number 86 truck of Brandon Brown, was hit with a $5,000 fine, and he has the 1-week vacation because of the lug nut violation following post-race inspection at Kentucky Speedway last weekend. So Brenner gets to sit home and watch this coming week's annual dirt event at Eldora Speedway.
You know what's great about this rule is this. You can actually plan your vacation because you can actually say, hey, why don't you go ahead and untighten that lug nut a little bit? I'd like to go to my cottage next weekend.
That's right. I really don't want to run at track X, so just only hit 4.
You know, we're going to Pocono. It's looking like rain. I want a vacation. I want to go sit on the beach. So why don't you go ahead and unloosen that lug nut for me?
You know what? I'll be in the Pocono Mountains when we're at Pocono, but I'm going to be in that cabin up on the mountains.
I'll watch from the house.
That's right. Hey, if you've been wanting to start your own version of Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s boneyard of wrecked race cars, we got one you could start with.
Really?
Yeah. The car is 4-time Cup champion Jeff Gordon is one that he wrecked, strangely enough, at Pocono Raceway back in 2006.
Wow.
The car was totaled when the brakes on the 24 failed at some 200 miles per hour as he's trying to make the turn into turn 1.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
It's a car that the Deezer collection out of Miami, Florida has listed on their website. It can be yours for a little bit more than the price for the average new car, $27,995.
But wait, there's more.
Not here.
It doesn't run.
No, it does not, and I wouldn't try to make it run.
No,
because
that
the brakes don't work.
Yeah.
Buy the car for $27,000 and spend $40 trying to make it run.
That's right. That's
a bad turn.
It is a bad turn.
Turn 1.
That's one of the sharpest turns in all of NASCAR is turn 1 at Pocono.
It's almost a 90-degree turn.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I can't even get it right on a game, let alone I'd hate to try and do it on track.
I hate Pocono on games, too. I can't stand
it. Speaking of Pocono, a Pennsylvania court has ruled for Pocono Raceway in a case related to lightning strikes causing a fatality. Monday, the court ruled for Pocono in Philadelphia County Court after 3 lawsuits in all were brought against the track in relation to the August 5th, 2012 weather-related death of 41-year-old Brian Zimmerman, killed when lightning struck in the parking lot behind the front stretch grandstands. 10 other fans were injured from that strike when a second lightning strike came in the same parking lot. The jury in the case found that the raceway was negligent regarding the incident, but the jury did not find that such negligence actually resulted in any direct harm to Zimmerman or the 10 who were injured in the strikes. Instead, said that the strikes could not have been foreseen as being so direct.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look at it that fact. You know what you're dealing with. We give them we out there at Talladega Super Speedway, we were yelling at people practically to get out of the stands this past race weekend.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Lightning is striking. We're seeing people in the grandstands celebrating in the rain, and we're like, you people are fools.
You have to go now.
We're telling you to go.
But then when something happens to them, they're the first ones who want to toss that lawsuit. It's your fault that I was in the stands. No, it's your own fault.
Yep.
Get out.
I wonder if there's a lawsuit in this.
Okay.
You may have seen the insurance ad where the guy who always seems to get beaten up in these insurance ads is sitting in an SUV, purports that the owner didn't make sure that his pregame tailgating grill fire wasn't quite extinguished, and then the grill creates enough heat for the starter fluid that's also in the SUV to explode, and the SUV is an entire loss.
Never thought I'd ever see
mayhem.
Yes, I never thought I'd ever live to see the day.
If you thought that all but impossible, you need to tell that to the owner of the pickup truck in a lot at Kentucky Speedway. Even worse, according to a Lexington, Kentucky newspaper writer, there was a person inside the truck when it burst into flames.
What?
Yeah. Luckily, the blaze was spotted quickly by track authorities after it was shown by the people in the helicopter that were noticing it.
You couldn't miss it.
Emergency personnel got the person out of the truck. Report the unidentified person has no serious injuries to themselves. The fire damage reportedly actually had nothing to do with the grill that was in the bed of the truck, but instead began in the cab of the truck, destroyed the late model white GMC Sierra, doing major damage to a silver Nissan that was parked on one side of the pickup and seared the entire side of a red Chevy pickup parked on the other side. The grill, as a side note, appears to still be viable.
Yeah, that's a grill that takes a licking and keeps on ticking.
Verizon IndyCar Series announced over the past weekend. You know what? We're going to stop right here because I can almost guarantee you I know how this started. If it started inside the cab of the pickup truck, this is a person who probably fell asleep with a cigarette. Have we got a way for you to nix that problem?
Man, he's got the Kings of Segway going on over here, doesn't he? That's right. We got the exact thing you need to do. You need to get in touch with our good friends Eddie and Shelly Bowman at Wild Vapors in Sylacauga in the Walmart Shopping Center in Alexander City, one block up from Central Alabama Community College. We talk about them every week. We tell you how great it is to get away from those stinky cigarettes that burn your trucks and your cars down when you go to your favorite NASCAR race. So stop on in and see them today. Sucralose free, diacetyl free, all those nasty additives you don't want in your juices. Knowledgeable staff. They got all kinds of juices, great juices to choose from. They take the time to explain every mod, tank, juice that they sell. Make sure that when you walk out the door, you know exactly what you're doing. They've got no way they're going to upsell you. They're going to make sure you get exactly what you want for your level, whether it be beginner, advanced, or custom barbecue guy. So you're good to go. But they don't rush you out of the store. They take care of you. They're going to take all the time in the world. Give them a call today. Get those cigarettes out of your mouth. Get it done and over with. 256-369-2569. Do not leave them in your truck. And if your buddy has been having a few alcoholic beverages at your favorite local NASCAR track, do not let him smoke in your car because you will lose said car. Don't let that happen. Get in touch with our good friends at Wild Vapors today. 256-369-2569. Stay on track with Wild Vapors.
That said, we talked about him a little bit earlier on, and he's a guy who is quite familiar with our guest in studio, Matt Nicholson. We're talking about the one, the only, late model Mark.
Hear ye.
Talladega Short Track.
Hear ye, my subjects and peasants.
How are you, my friend?
Gentlemen,
We're not
I am
worthy.
doing-
We're not worthy.
Well, Justin, you're very worthy. You're very worthy, too.
Well,
but
thank
John
you.
is very worthy as well.
Thank you very much.
But you're welcome. Hey, I'm glad you have Matt Nicholson on there. That was a pretty good story about that little girl from Oregon. That's
Cool
pretty
stuff.
cool. Maybe I'll
Yeah,
talk
man.
that up tonight. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to need some alcoholic beverages if we get rained out again on the second Saturday night. I want to go racing so bad tonight. We got that Steelhead Strut limited late model special tonight. It's paying some good money. We should have a stout field of cars, weather permitting, and looking forward to a big field. Now, this is the limited late model championship event for them. And one of our track workers, Miss Rita, came up with the name Steelhead Strut. I was thinking Stampede and blah, 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 but the Strut is a pretty good deal. And we're good to see if anybody can take out either Chris Fennell out of Dallas, Georgia, or Mumford, Alabama's Bubba Lackey. Them two boys have been mopping up on the competition with a occasional win by Jonathan Chapman and other drivers, and it should be a very special event tonight here at the Talladega Short Track. Like I said, I hope the weather doesn't foul us up. I'm sick of the rain right now, and I don't want to go racing.
Yeah, exactly. And we need some racing here in Central Alabama, no doubt. So, okay. So all things being considered equal and no rain coming in, give us all the details. When can we get into the track? What all are we going to see?
No problem. The pit gates will open up at 3 p.m. The front spectator gates open up at 5 p.m. Hot laps will be at 7 o'clock. Well, actually 7:15. We'll get the cars on the track at 7. The hot laps will be at 7:15. And super late model qualifying will be at 8. I am not sure at this point in time. I have not yet heard if the limited lates will be qualifying. They may for this show. And then we'll have heat racing and feature events. We have 6 divisions on hand: super late models, Neesmith crate late models, and then the limited late models with their special event tonight. The Thunder Cars, the Neesmith Street Stocks, and the always entertaining Hot Shots. We have 6 divisions on hand tonight, and it should be a heck of a program. And I'm looking forward to doing my deal tonight, man. I enjoy it announcing up there, and I'm ready to kick some butt.
Mark, I will be very depressed, too, if it rains again.
Well, I've already checked the weather. I have checked the weather tonight. You are in the clear.
We're looking at, everything says right now you're going to be good to go.
Well, I'm hoping so. They've, contrary to what some people may believe, they actually have been cutting the track on a regular basis on Fridays and sometimes Saturday morning, recutting it on Saturday morning. And just for example, not last Saturday, obviously, because we got rained out, but the Saturday before that, after they cut the track, just in one day, ladies and gentlemen, there was 60,000 gallons of water put on it. But with the heat and all that, for the Nisbet class, it did get dusty. Yes, it did. That's just a byproduct of, high temperatures and all that stuff. But
sure.
We've been working on the track. We're hoping to get 2 grooves. I'm going to beg Preacher tonight to slap another truckload up in the upstairs groove so we can see Mr. Nicholson slapping them Hoosiers up on the cushion if he shows up tonight.
I will be there.
The division.
He's going to be there. He's warned you right now.
I will be there, Mark, and please do that because I want the high side to come in very, very badly.
You come up to the tower sometime right after the drivers' meeting. We'll go in front of the tower and we'll do an interview, and you can talk about that little girl in your race team and that win at Shelby County, and we'll go from there. But
you got it, Mark.
I'm up here in the beautiful city of Aniana, and the door just opened, so I have to go deliver my chips. And I'll see you boys tonight. Thank God we have some good weather, hopefully, and we'll see you next week.
Sounds good. Thank you. Let him on, Mark, out there, out and about doing his job, and hopefully he gets to do his other job tonight.
I hope he's not tossing the chips hard because I hate to get a bag of
broken little crumbs down to the bottom.
Yeah.
I understand where you're going with that. Last weekend, Verizon IndyCar Series ran at Iowa Speedway. They announced at the same time that they are going to remain going to Iowa at least through 2018. Series officials trying to finalize schedules a little bit quicker this year. And Iowa is the second course that is told they'll be back for 2017 at least. Both Road America and Iowa have actually been told that they will be hosting IndyCar for the next 2 years. At this time, though, it appears most of the tracks on the 2016 schedule likely will be back next year. There are 2 possible exceptions. Pocono, they continue to pop up here.
Maybe there's something about Pocono this
I
week.
guess.
Maybe
And Watkins Glen. Pocono officials have expressed some financial concerns for their IndyCar weekends over the past couple of years. And then, of course, there's Watkins Glen, which this year was a last-minute addition to the 2016 schedule when the planned Boston Grand Prix went belly up. No word on talks about 2017 or later years for them. Dale Coyne Racing has entered a number 19 Honda-powered entry into this weekend's Toronto event. That's going to put Luca Filippi behind the wheel, should he qualify. It's going to be his 5th race of the year for Dale Coyne. His best finish came at the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, where he finished 17th. Since his rookie year in 2013, Filippi has driven only 22 events, 3 of those in Toronto. Got a best finish of 2nd. That happened last year, but last year he was driving for Carpenter Fisher Hartman Racing, so we'll have to see how he can do in a Dale Coyne car. Haas F1 team, the first American-based Formula One team in more than 3 decades, has seen the highest of highs this year. They claimed championship points their first 2 races, and having one of their drivers currently sitting in the top 10 standings right now. But along with those highs come lows. That included this past weekend where their top 10 points driver, Romain Grosjean, didn't even finish, and Esteban Gutierrez simply hasn't lived up to Grosjean's promise behind the wheel of this freshman team. And then comes Britain. Haas F1 boss Gunther Steiner reports that the team suffered an odd power outage, one to their GPS system, which helps them keep track of where their racers are on the course at Silverstone, and it left them unable to communicate with either of their drivers. Steiner says he's still trying to figure out what happened other than the power supply for the radio and GPS system failed. Couldn't identify if it was a problem for the team's equipment or if it was the track's problem. Steiner said the problem plagued them for about 6 to 10 laps. This created a problem for Gutierrez. Grosjean had already retired from the race by this point, but the team had planned to call Gutierrez in for a tire change during that 6 to 10 lap period where the radio and the GPS system went out, and because of that, it messed up their whole pit strategy.
Somebody just flipped the switch.
It's possible. Again, nobody has come up with a source there.
Cool. Flip the switch. Oh, I didn't know. Let me flip that back.
Yeah, really. Lewis Hamilton finds himself in a fairly unusual position, and I'm not talking about second place in the points. I'm talking about defending his teammate from his fans. During the Sunday podium where the British fan base booed Hamilton's Mercedes racing teammate Nico Rosberg, Hamilton went on record and asked his fans not to boo Nico Rosberg. He tried to calm the crowd down while he was on the podium, and in post-race interviews and in the media press center conference, he went further into defending his teammate from the verbal taunts, said, quote, "I was asked up front. I tried to calm it down because I feel like it has been such a great day, feel like we are better than that." Really didn't hear a lot of boos, but what you have to understand is that they are mad, passionate fans, and something wasn't right in the last one. I imagine when we get to Germany, maybe we'll have the same thing. Hope not, because I think the sport in general, it is not the done thing. Very British of him. If I went to a football game, we call it soccer over here, and the other team won, I wouldn't boo the other team because they did a better job, and that's real sportsmanship. He'd know a little bit about being booed because he was at the season opening event in Australia following a last lap collision with Rosberg.
Yeah. I shall taunt you again.
Yes. I shall taunt you a second time. As for the penalty that Rosberg was slapped with following the British Grand Prix, we talked about the radio thing. Mercedes officials initially filed an appeal, hoping to get Rosberg's second-place result restored, and then Monday decided to rescind said appeal. They released a statement that said they, quote, accept the steward's interpretation of the regulation, their decision, and associated penalty, unquote. What the heck does that mean?
It's legal jargon.
Pretty much. Mercedes officials did state that they would continue talks with people within Formula One to deal with what most teams feel the overregulation of the sport.
I agree.
This is them saying, hey, listen, try to avoid seventh gear. When it comes time to talking with a spotter, and I understand that we're at different levels here when it comes to this, but when you're talking with your team, one would think, hey, listen, the top gear on your car, be it seventh or fourth gear, is hinky. Don't go into it. That seems like something that as a driver you might want to know.
Exactly.
How in the world is this in any way, shape, or form considered a violation? I don't get it.
I got to look at it this way, and I got to take it back to the safety aspect, and I'll go with this. Let's say he's on the track. He doesn't have a gear. Let's say he switches into it because he doesn't know, because he's not allowed to be told, and you know, maybe there's somebody behind him. Maybe there's a wreck that's caused. Maybe somebody gets hurt. Then what's it going to take? Is that what it's going to take to change this regulation? Because I think if it deals with exactly what happened this past weekend, that should be an okay communication.
You're right, and it's same concept. If I'm on the track in front of you, I've got a transmission problem, and you're following me, and you're behind me, and I go to that gear and I miss it, and you rear end me, and it causes a massive crash.
Who's at fault?
Yeah, exactly.
Who's exactly at fault?
That's exactly what's going to come down to. That's going to be all the pointing of the fingers. That's when regulations change. That's when safety features are added. That's when things actually happen, is when people get hurt.
Let's put you two in this same situation that you're talking about here, okay? Right. Let's say that all the equipment is running good, and it just so happens that Dustin is coming up on you, and he's hot.
I'm driving Mercedes equipment.
You're getting on the radio. You're getting from your crew chief, or more likely from your spotter, saying, hey, listen, Dustin, or car number, whatever number you want to put.
I'm already 4.
Okay. Car number 4 is coming up. It looks like he's going to try and take you on the outside. You have now the choice. You now know, hey, it looks like he's going to the outside. You can either try and block or get the heck out of his way. That I can understand.
Right.
Okay? This is a situation, and here's the rule that they're talking about. Article 27.1, according to the FIA regulations, it does allow teams to inform the driver of changes if a car failure is imminent, but the advice to avoid seventh gear, according to them, given to Rosberg over the radio, is against the rules by their interpretation.
I don't understand
With this latest complaint about radio regulations, this is going to be taken up in the offseason again. This, to me, is car failure.
It is. That's a failure imminent. That's it. You do not have this gear, it will cause a problem. That is a failure. That is an imminent failure.
Yeah.
That is under the rules. That is right there. You can't misinterpret that.
Yeah, it's basically saying stay out of that gear, or you're going to damage a $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 gearbox.
Exactly.
Stay out of it and save the box.
The car failure would exactly happen at that point if you go near this
whole
gear.
radio thing needs to be revisited in the offseason, and I fully expect that it will.
It does. There's a lot of stupid rules lately, and this is definitely one of them.
Yeah. Toto Wolff, the team principal for Mercedes, then got to talking about tension between his two drivers.
Tension?
It's kind of an understatement there. Said that should the two get together again, there was going to be penalties handed out that could include a suspension. That's pretty harsh talk right there.
From your own team?
Yeah, Toto Wolff told German television over the weekend, quote, such things are not the ideal scenario, of course, but the two of them have a great responsibility to this brand, Mercedes, to our team's spirit and our partners and sponsors, and for all the Mercedes employees all around the world, like not too far away in Vance, Alabama. If all this work is thrown away with a collision, then at some point there has to be a sanction. It must come to an end. Both drivers said that the ruling from on high was going to do little to quell their wanting the lead in each race. Hamilton said, of course, what we have been told will be at the back of our minds for sure. I noticed he said at the back of our minds. But that does not mean that we can't continue to drive as hard as we have done. Rosberg said, yeah, we're still battling out there. It's just a small modification to how but that's it.
Okay, here's my curiosity question.
Yeah.
Suspensions, because that is the word I'm hanging on.
Pull them
right
out
now.
for a race.
Okay, so let's say both of them are at fault. Does Mercedes not run that weekend?
Possible.
I mean, let's say they just get really amped up at each other and just destroy each other. They both have to be equally suspended. Mercedes doesn't show up to the next race. Door is open for Max Verstappen.
I think it would go to who was at fault the most.
I agree.
Yeah, but if you have, but the problem, and we always have this across all sporting events, no matter where it is, no matter what sport it's in, it's never the person who instigates it; it's the person who retaliates.
That's true.
But if you go back and look at everything, you kind of have to go across the board with them. You have to say, "Hey, you did something wrong, and you did something equally as wrong. You're both suspended. Everybody gets a vacation for a week."
Yeah, really. I'll be interested to see if they actually follow through on that.
That would
threat.
be, that I'm curious on that.
Sauber team principal Monisha Kaltenborn earlier this year announced the team was working on a deal that was expected to guarantee the organization's racing future, and then confirmed a few weeks ago the deal was, quote, at hand, unquote. However, the team has been quiet since then. Kaltenborn was asked about it recently, said, quote, "We are working on our solution. That's all I can tell you." She added she's hoping to be able to implement some needed improvements to their 2016 racers, since they are the only team out of the 11 on the Formula One grid not to score a championship point. But resources are tight in the organization, so they need funding to make that happen. She doesn't know when it will. They are in need of a cash infusion badly.
Yes, extremely.
Organizers for a potential Las Vegas Formula One race have told F1 officials that funding for them, not an issue. Fareed Shidfar, who is the businessman heading up the group attempting to work with Formula One on a second United States-based race, says money's no longer a roadblock, says he has a, quote, agreement in principle with a group of Chinese investors to provide the money needed to get the race placed on the calendar and actually run it, which is reportedly $150 million.
To run a race.
Ouch. With that, it could, if you pardon the pun, fast-track the race's addition to the calendar, seemingly more likely for 2018. But neither the race promoter nor Formula One's ruling out a possible 2017 race date on this.
Let's just hope that nobody from the Boston Grand Prix is involved in anything that has
I'm getting a funny feeling it's
that
probably not. I mean, if they got $150 million from the Chinese investors, the people in Boston are going, wait a minute, we could have done that?
Man, we can go get some more money. Here, we'll change our names and join the club.
Who knew?
That's right.
NHRA handing down some new rules affecting the funny car division. The angle of the headers of all funny car entries is about to become standardized, and it will take effect with the next event, the Mopar Mile High Nationals, just outside of Denver, Colorado next weekend. All headers now have to be set at 32 degrees, regardless of the make or model of the car or engine. The maximum header pipe size is restricted now to 2 3/4 inches as well. So they say that with all the things that have been going on, they've been able to kind of make some performance things. We're not really sure exactly how the whole thing happened, to be real honest with you.
Yeah, I wanted to ask late model Mark about that, and I forgot all about that this week. So we're going to have to ask him about that.
Yeah, we'll have to get into that. In the meantime, let's go out. South side is where Rick is calling in from. Got a question for us?
Oh, hey, gentlemen. Yeah, I was going to take a guess if the appliance needs to be grounded.
The who?
So I would kind of think, since you're next to a sink and cold water pipes, would it be the dishwasher?
Yeah, you've reached the fastest hour in radio. This is a racing show.
Oh, this is the what show?
I just let him go, man.
Yeah, I was kind of intrigued now. All of a sudden, I'm like,
I was
okay,
like-
wait a minute. I
I
got
was
to
like-
go ground this. I
thinking,
certainly need to move that away from the sink.
I just took notes.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
We appreciate that. But
Take the ground wire away from the steering column.
yes, exactly. Rick, we appreciate it, man.
Put the edge torque converter and switch the pitch on there, and then put a new stator, 27.
Rick, that is a fantastic recovery, and I love it.
Use the Corvette servo, bigger pump, 10-vane pump. Talking about how to build a 700 transmission.
There you
I
go.
love that.
Rick, we appreciate it so much.
Okay, well, I was wondering why I heard something about a header and this and that.
Yeah, a little different, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Rick. We appreciate it, man.
Okay, thanks.
Take care.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Happy to have you call. That was interesting. That's fun. 9411011 and toll free at 866-551-9933.
Hey, John.
What, did he say what the question was supposed to be?
John.
Or he just said he had a question? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's interesting. Fun.
I even answered the phone. Good morning, the fastest hour in radio.
Everybody listens, buddy.
Obviously.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm totally toasted now.
That's good stuff.
That's awesome.
Bob Vandergriff is talking about maybe he might not be done with racing after all. We talked about how April 11th he released the statement, said that he was done with racing effective immediately, closed down his shop, laid off his employees and everything like that.
Yeah.
He did an interview with the website Competition Plus, said, quote, obviously a perfect storm transpired. The death of CEO Josh Comstock of C&J Energy Services combined with the disastrous conditions of the oil field industry, which were far worse than originally forecasted, continued much longer after all that's expected. But he's tried to sell all the equipment, tried to sell the race shop. Nobody bought. So he's like, instead of letting it all sit there and rot, might as well go do something with it.
Yeah.
And he's trying to bring back Dave Connolly as well. Hopefully that'll work.
Oh, yeah.
It's not going to be full-time, but he says, you know what, we may just end up showing up on a Friday at some point in time.
That'd be interesting how that would work out.
Yep. Finally, sad news out of the NHRA world for the second week in a row. Learned of a passing of a gentleman, this time Art Chrisman. Chrisman was one of the founding fathers of NHRA drag racing, was a drag racer himself, noted for taking his iconic number 25 dragster, became the first winner at Bakersfield. He was the first to eclipse both 140 and 180 miles per hour in a drag racer. He was also the first driver to make a pass at the NHRA's first ever national event in Great Bend, Kansas. Chrisman was one of the 5 charter members of the 200-mile-per-hour club, got up to 235 miles per hour in his drag racer at the Bonneville Salt Flats. Ended his career in 1962 when he joined the Ford Motor Company's Autolite spark plug division. On the side, he and his son Mike started and ran Chrisman Auto Rod Specialties in order to build and restore hot rods. He restored his own legendary drag racer named Hustler 1 and made full quarter-mile runs with it back in the mid-1980s and was noted for smoking the tires the entire quarter mile. Art Chrisman passed away last Tuesday. He was 86 years old, and our thoughts and prayers here at the Fastest Hour and Radio go with him and his friends and family.
Yes.
With that said, tonight, all things being equal and rain not falling.
That's right.
No weather.
You'll
No
see
weather.
Matt Nicholson at Talladega Short Track.
That's right.
Yeah, look for that number 10 out there turning laps. Go out there and get a win.
That's right. Go get him, man.
We're going to do all we can.
We appreciate you coming in.
I appreciate you guys having
Absolutely.
We're going to be talking
anytime.
with him more after the show, so
That's
make
right.
sure you check that out as well.
After the show coming up on Facebook.com/The Fastest Hour in Radio. John, thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Well done, Dustin.
Thank
it's
you.
all you, my friend.
Yeah. See ya!